Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 336. Happy Christmas! Happy Christmas! This is the Christmas edition. This is a fun episode. I love it. I love doing this one every year. If you are a regular listener, and man, we've been doing this for 7 years, so I really hope you are. I know you love this episode because I play the clips from movies. I play everything, right? And we've done this for years. It's the same episode, but of course it's different intros and the different all the rest of it. And we're at a very different stage of life every year. So I love this because we just make it fun. And you know the original reason that I created this? It was really not like everyone does New Year's ones, right? Episodes, and then pitches their new product and all of this, and that's cool. The reason I made the Christmas episode was for one reason. Not everybody's got people around them. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody's got people around them at Christmas, and I've been there many times. Traveling the world for 19, it'll be 20 years next year. There's been a lot of times that I've found myself on my own or in strange, interesting places in the world. And sometimes you just need a friend. Sometimes you just need family. Sometimes you just need a voice that is familiar and you can just have a little bit of fun with, you know? One of the reasons I love Joe Rogan's podcast is they've really helped me out over the years. You know, I've been listening to Rogan for 15 years or whatever, and it feels like you've got a crew of people who are your mates and you're just hanging out with them sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Do you know that feeling? And that's what I want with the Christmas episode. It's just, we're just hanging out. It means you've got someone there if you've not got someone. And if you have got people there, then really appreciate them because they're not always going to be there potentially, or you might change, or the circumstances might change. So whoever you're around at this Christmas, and really appreciate. And I hope that you're listening to this before Christmas, but if you're not, then it's okay, right? But I hope you're listening to it now because, yeah, it's all about fun. And as I say, if you are a regular listener, then I love Christmases, love New Year's Eves. Why? Because it gives us a moment to reflect. Christmas is about appreciating everything that's around us. Christmas is about really understanding that, especially this year, right? And last year, the world's in chaos, but we're still here. Do you know what I mean? We're still doing it. We're still going forwards. We're still kicking ass. We've had highs, we've had lows, but we are still here. And you should be damn proud. You should be damn proud of all that you've accomplished and the changes that you're making. And you should be really damn proud at what you're going to do in 2022. So 2022, hey, that's next year, right? It might only be a week away, but it's next year. Let's let that go for a moment. And let's just play at Christmas. And obviously, I'm from the UK, so as I say, I've been away a long time, and I still remember what Christmases were growing up. And they're really like the family, the Griswold's family Christmas, right? And no, they weren't never like that, right? Never like that. Besides the weather was always freezing. But that's a good thing. And these days, I'm only doing hot weathers. I've done 2 Christmases in the cold in like 19 years. And it's awesome. It is awesome. It feels like real Christmas. It's fun. All the lights are up. It's a totally different experience to when you're in the sun. And I remember my first Christmas. That was in Sydney in Australia. And I remember I was on my own. I had one card that my mum and dad had given me that I took with me. And I opened that on Christmas Day. And that was the first year I didn't get presents. That was the first year I wasn't around family. That was the first year that I really was on my own. And there's something freeing to that. But it also makes you reflect and you look back on all the people that, well, really make Christmas special. It's the people, right? It's not about the gifts or all that BS. It really is bullshit. Doesn't mean a damn thing. We forget what people have bought us like 20 seconds after they've bought it. It means nothing. But who you're with or the way you allow yourself to feel is the most important thing. So this year, guess what? I'm traveling. So I'm away from my girl this year. So I'm on my own. And I've got friends and I can go and hang out with. But the truth is, I don't want to. I just want to do this one on my own. Because I'll be on like video messaging everybody, you know what I mean? I'll be on FaceTime with lots of people. But what's important is reflection. And when something's not there and not easily givable, do you know what I mean? Like people, you start to really appreciate who you've got around you and who steps up and who's important. But you also start to look at who is wasting your time. Do you know what I mean? Who makes you feel bad. And those are the people that you can let go of in 2021, and you can move into 2022 a whole new you. And so whatever you're doing for Christmas, whether you're cooking beans on toast, very UK dish, by the way, Heinz beans on toast. If you don't know it, people, you're missing out. And but either you're cooking baked beans or you're having, look, I'm a vegetarian / vegan, right? So I won't be having turkey. But if you're having turkey, then, you know, appreciate the bird, man. That died so you can eat it. So appreciate that bird and appreciate everything you've got around you. And if you're cooking for one, hey, it's all good, right? Mr. Bean always reminds me, UK, right? Going back to the UK years ago. Mr. Bean's Christmas. He did it on his own. Do you know what I mean? And if you'd want to watch that episode, hey, I think it's on YouTube. But just life is a very, very precious thing. And we look back on this year and we realize that so many things have changed. So many things that we took for granted have changed. And the world has changed. And you know, someone said something the other day that was like, oh, the world's gone to chaos. We don't know where we're going to be next year. Life's a mess. And I said, do you know what? I see things so differently. And they were like, what do you mean? I see the world as in chaos. But chaos is a good thing. And they're like, what you talking about? And I'm like, chaos is a good thing. Because for something new to happen, change has to take place. And change has to take place, and the chaos is always in the middle, right? So that's just how it is. The destination is good, the start is good, the journey to get there is always chaos, because it's new. And that's what I feel is happening in the world right now. We'll all be given a chance to jump into a new life, a new world, new way of being, to find out resilience, to find out who doesn't really support us, who are trying to take things from us, to find out who really does support us and who have got our back no matter what. That's what this year's been about, and last year. And is it going to get simpler? I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is the way you decide to live life is going to be your life. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what chaos is going on outside. You can do what you want. Andy, I can't. This is chaos. I don't know what. Oh, it's the worst year of my life. Okay. It's done. It's done. The start of this podcast is done. Yesterday is gone. The memories of all the things that are holding you back from the traumas from the past, your childhood, business mistakes, getting things wrong, lack of money. Guess what? It's gone. And if you're sitting there going, nah, Andy, I've got no money right now. I've got no money. Got no money for presents. Got no money for do life. I'm worried about next month. Man, we've all been there. We've all been there. I've been homeless. I've been in cars. I've had all my stuff in the trunk or the boot of the car. I've slept on couches. And we're talking for like a long time, like over a year, 2 years. And it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? I've been through bankruptcy. I've been through nervous breakdowns. I've been putting a resort together at 27 years old. I was I was a top performer in 2 different countries in investment real estate at 24, 25. And you have it all. I've had 5 Series BMWs when I was young, investment properties, all of these things. But it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. They're just things. They're just things. And what is important is you. And the beautiful thing is that what we search for on the outside, we can really fulfill ourselves on the inside first. And what do I mean by that? Do you know, I'm sure everyone listening meditates. I'm sure everyone listening does my morning routine hypnosis, or I've been through the 8-figure thinker and I've gone through all the simulator hypnosises, or you've whatever it is, right? It doesn't really matter. But you know, when those moments in time where you just come out of a meditation, or you trained, or you're at peace. Do you know that feeling? You're just at peace. And it feels good. All the stress is gone, the worries, and you feel bright. You know what I mean? It's like someone's turned the light up. Someone's turned the dimmer up, right? And now you're bright and you're happy. But 20 minutes ago, or 5 minutes ago, 1 minute ago, or a thought ago, you were in absolute chaos, a dark moment, thinking about all the worst things in life, thinking that no one likes you, thinking about all the things you've done wrong. And then what happens? We change. And a brightness comes, a happiness comes. We look around the world and realize that we're still here. We look around the world and realize that we're still breathing. We look around the world and still, if only you've got a cat or a dog and there's no one else in your life, guess what? That cat or the dog, that loves you. If you've got a goldfish, the goldfish loves you. You love that goldfish, you know what I mean? And really, love just comes from inside. Love comes from connecting with the universe. Love comes from those moments where we feel absolute harmony with everything. Do you know what I mean? You know that feeling? So it doesn't matter if you're on your own today. It makes no difference. It doesn't matter if you're around 1,000 people. It makes no difference. If you're not happy inside, then time to be happy, right? And sometimes we just need to listen or watch something that makes us smile. That's all we do, right? They're activating certain parts of our brain that replicate whatever it is around them most. And when you can understand that, then you've got to realize that your brain is a muscle. Your heart is even a muscle, right? And we've got to pump it the right way. We've got to watch the right things. We've got to listen to the right things. We've got to read the right things. We've got to put ourselves around the right people. And if we've got to eat the right things too. There's no point in sitting there and eating loads of chocolate and going, oh, I wish I was ripped. No, it doesn't work. We've got to make better decisions. What would that future you, who's looking back on now, what would they say to you today? What would they want you to feel? What would they want you to know? What would they want you to experience about life? What would they be thankful for that you did today? Do you know what I mean? And if you can just focus on a little bit of light, focus on what you want, focus on a dream, a vision, a future, then everything's beautiful. That's all we need. All we need is that glimmer of light. All we need is that hope. All we need is a vision. All we need is a direction. And then we get into it. We go and smash it. We go and kick ass. We go and be who we choose to be. We build our mindset by design. We become the 8-figure thinker. We become radical, right? We become whatever it is, that genius version of us. And at the end of the day, that's all that's important. It's all that's important. This life is going to go. It's going to go. I promise you it's going to go. You're not going to be the only person ever that's lived forever. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. But I know I'm not. So I'm appreciating every single moment of my life, every single moment of the day, because I know to give the impact that I want or know I'm supposed to be doing in the world, that I'm here for, I have to be the best version of me. And that doesn't just mean wealthy. It really doesn't mean anything. What it means is shining a light so bright that the world has to feel it and see it. That's what's going to make you proud. So you get to the end of your life and you can look back on now and know that you've given it all that you've got. And that starts with a decision right now to change, to be that ultimate you. Does that make sense? So whatever you've got going on today, whatever's going on when you're listening to this, doesn't matter, man. Let's go and kick ass. Let's enjoy our moments. Let's enjoy our life. Put whatever it is you want on the TV. Do whatever it is you want today. Enjoy every second. And let's jump into this today. This is a fun episode. I know you're going to love it if it's the first time that you're listening to it. And I will see you at the end of the show. Okay, crew, let's settle in. I don't know if I've said this for a few episodes, but hey, look, we're just hanging out. Imagine we're in a coffee shop. Imagine we're having a cup of tea. Imagine we're just sitting in front of that fire. It's Christmas, right? And just imagine we're hanging out. Because the first thing I want to just touch on, I don't know how long this episode's going to be, by the way. It's probably not going to be a massive one because I want to put another one out for New Year's Eve, right? Reflection on the year. And then maybe in the start of January, what I'm going to do is a Facebook Live for everybody, and it's going to set your year up. And I might do the same on the podcast, right? So I might put an episode out. Well, I might just play it again, right? If you're not in the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group, right? But the first thing I want to talk about here is it's about belief. So interesting to me, people's belief around this time of year. And if you're religious or whatever, then that's cool. I don't have any attachment. I'm really spiritual, but it's whatever your belief is, I'll accept it. It's okay. And so if you get offended by anything I say, then, well, yeah, it's the wrong podcast for you, right? For sure it is. But I want to just touch on something because the power of belief is such a crazy strong thing, Think about this. It's about perspective. It's such different worlds that people live in, connected by the belief that they have around something. Do you know what I mean? So Christmas Day, right? Of course, it comes from Christianity, right? And Christianity is all about, obviously, Jesus, their representation, and what actually happened. He was born on Christmas Day. Beautiful, right? If that's your belief, that's a beautiful belief. It's powerful. And it also means that your focus is going to be on that when you're around family and friends. And think about this, right? If that's your belief right now, listening to this, the whole world that you're living in around this time is really a religious ceremony, right? That's what it's to do with. It's service to God, if you want to use that word, which being a Christian or Catholic, you will be using that word, right? So whatever it is, your whole world, your belief system, your focus, your language, the decorations, everything is specifically around that religion. So your whole experience around this time of year is so radically different from so many other people, right? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it right? Is it wrong? No, it's none of those things. It is what it is. And when you can start to understand that is just a perspective of life. It's a perspective of who you are. It's a perspective over what Christmas really is, right? To you. And you have to accept that. So what you've also got to accept is that everybody, every single person in the entire world has a different version of reality. They really do. So every experience that we've ever had, guess what it does? Yeah, it creates software in our brain, neurology. Every time we have an experience, the software is formed and we make a decision about it. That decision then affects our values. Our values then is linked to your beliefs. So when you start to have this experience, if you've been growing up in that environment, then your whole belief system is very strong around what this time of year is really about. Okay? But then you've got people out there like I was last year, right? Stonehenge, who go, no, Christmas is not about Christianity. Christmas is about a pagan festival that goes back even way older than 2,000 years ago, right? And that is about nature. It's about family. It's about connectivity. It's about really the universe. And they do pagan festivals and they all dress up in, well, every spirituality and religion dresses a little bit funny, doesn't it? Like Buddhism and everything. They all dress a bit Hindu, right? They all dress a bit funny. But who's it funny to? It's only funny from people looking from the outside. When you're in that world, then it's not funny. It's ceremony. It's service. It's giving, right? So you're wearing the robes or you're wearing whatever it is to be able to basically give love, right? Give service. And when you can understand that every religion or every single person has a different perspective on life, a different perspective, which means they have a different belief. So the thing about beliefs is that they're not real. You might be going, ooh, you're touching on some dangerous ground, Andy. It's true, though. The earth was flat once, right? Well, no. Right? It wasn't. And I cracked this joke in the previous episode. Well, unless you're a flat earther, right? And if that's your belief, hey, I'll accept that one too. But it doesn't mean I'm taking it on. And what I mean by beliefs aren't real, and you've probably heard this statement before, but they're really not. It's just a statement or a belief that we hold as true with the information we have at the time. Okay? So the truth is, if you didn't believe in Jesus and Jesus popped in front of you, would you believe in Jesus? Yeah, right. Well, that's the same with anything, right? It's just that we've developed through experience or model of the world so we see it a certain way. So it doesn't mean it's right, again, it's wrong, good or bad. It's just a perspective, and there's nothing wrong with that perspective. But it does make you act a certain way. So what I want you to really start understanding is that this power of that belief, right? And I mentioned in the previous podcast, like the power of the belief that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. Well, that's such a powerful belief because it's such an assumption. But it's not true, right? It's not true. We just assume that the sun's going to come up tomorrow, but it doesn't mean it's going to. And what I want you to understand is beliefs are really shaky. They really are. But what we do is hold so much, so much energy and belief in our beliefs. But think about that in the rest of your life. Think about that when you start thinking about next year, right? What's your belief already? What's that first thing that comes up in your head? And the success or not the success or where you're going to be this time next year. Understand that belief is either going to create motivation, action, drive, happiness, creativity, passion, results, or it's going to hold you back. Does that make sense? So when you start to understand this and beliefs, well, they're only as true as the information that we have, right? If you saw the Loch Ness Monster, went to Scotland, right? The Loch Ness Monster appeared in front of you and you didn't believe in Nessie, guess what? Your belief would change. Doesn't matter if you've been an evangelist and gone around the world saying Nessie is crap, it doesn't exist. And then suddenly it pops out in front of you, your belief would change. So what we've got to adapt is the understanding of a concept called behavioral flexibility. Okay, that behavioral flexibility is what we've got to do as an entrepreneur or in growth mode in our life. Because if have behavioral flexibility, it means that we're never fixed to one way or one method or one system to do with anything, right? We're open. And when we're open, what we do is we take off the blinkers, on the side of like a horse has on its head, like it just keeps it focused forwards. Well, if we were able to take those off, understand that the horse can only see forwards. Does that mean the world around it's disappeared? No, of course not. It just is focused, is going forwards, right? So does this make sense? I know it's a bit of a rant and going all over the place, but do you understand? So we've got to have that openness with belief of what's possible, because what you believe is possible in your life, I'm telling you right now, you're so much more than that, right? So if you're right now sitting at home and you believe that nobody cares about you, well, you're wrong, all right? Just because someone might not be sitting in front of you going, I love you, doesn't mean you're not loved. Does that make sense? So I want you to understand that I want you to be open to new ideas, new concepts, new beliefs of what's possible in your life, your business, your income. Make sense? Good. So now, because it's Christmas, I'm just going to play a random little clip of the best Christmas movie there's ever been in the history of mankind, right? My belief. Yes, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So this little clip, random, I get it. But this little clip is when, if you know the movie, I'm about to watch it tomorrow morning. I've already watched it once. This is my anchors, right? And we'll talk more about that. But I don't know. When I was growing up and watching this movie, it was like the perfect Christmas to me, right? It really, really was. Because it's so funny because Steph actually says to me, she watches this movie with me and she gives it, that's you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you are Clark Griswold. You have so many random qualities like Clark Griswold. It's like your perfectionism, your OCDness, the way you're rebelling against everything and you do what you want. And she's like, I know that's how you will do one day your house with those lights. And I'm like, damn right. And I said to her, well, do you know what? I don't think I'll be inviting loads of family like that because that looks chaos, right? But that's where I get this little Christmas spirit from. If I linked it back, it's from this movie, right? When I was watching it growing up. So anchors. What's an anchor? Okay, it's a trigger response. It's a stimulus response. It's a person, place, or thing or memory that lights up or triggers an emotion or a memory or a thought or a feeling in you. That's it, right? So when I play this little clip, it always makes me laugh because I can imagine myself, but I don't want to do it because it looks really cold, but trekking through the snow to get that awesome family Christmas tree. So I'm going to play that clip and then we'll talk about it more.
Dad, didn't they invent Christmas tree lots so people wouldn't have to drive all the way out to nowhere and waste a whole Saturday?
They invented them, Russ, because people forgot how to have a fun, old-fashioned family Christmas and are satisfied with scrawny, dead, overpriced trees that have no special meaning.
My toes are numb.
You see, kids, this is what our forefathers did.
I can't feel my leg.
They walked out into the woods, they picked out that special tree, and they cut it down with their bare hands.
Mom, I can't feel my hips.
Clark.
Yes, honey?
Audrey's frozen from the waist down.
That's all part of the experience, honey. There it is. Griswold family Christmas tree.
Isn't it a little big?
It's not big, it's just full.
Dad, that thing wouldn't fit in our yard.
Not going in our yard, Russ. It's going in our living room. Look at it.
It really is beautiful, Clark.
Something else, huh, Russ?
Yeah, Dad.
Isn't it a beaut, Audrey?
She'll see it later, honey. Her eyes are frozen.
Most enduring traditions of the season are best enjoyed in the warm embrace of kith and kin. This tree is a symbol of the spirit of the Griswold family Christmas.
Dad, did you bring a saw?
I bet you were visualizing that as you were going through it, right? I've seen that film so many times. I can see every single scene, every single moment, every single footprint that they're taking. And again, that I was laughing along listening to this, and it's so cool because again, that's my history. That's where I decided this film was a beautiful representation of Christmas, and it's funny and it's cool and it's all of those things, right? It's chaos and it's like family drive you crazy and all that stuff. But I want you to have a little think now. I want you to have a little think about whether you hate Christmas. For example, my dad, right, didn't have a dad, didn't have good childhood, and that means he didn't have any Christmases that were good. Zero, right? None. Because he didn't have money, they couldn't afford nothing. And it was probably a bad time of year because it was around money. And so that caused stress, it caused anxiety, it caused pain, which causes trauma in the brain. So what happens is his decision about Christmas is it sucks, right? And he tried his best, he did. I love my dad, and he tried his best, he did, but he didn't quite get it, right? Because he had to be an adult. Oldest of probably about 8 kids, had to be an adult from a very, very young age. I think he was working at 8 years old, 7 or 8 or something, right? And so his representation or perspective or belief about Christmas is extremely different. I was very lucky because he made sure I was safe. He made sure I had food, water, a house. He made sure I had presents. It's a completely different experience. So my world was such a radically different experience to his. So when I watch movies like this, it creates a beautiful feeling inside of me. Well, when he watches movies like this, he just probably finds them stupid, right? Because they don't mean anything to him. So I want you to, whatever you think or feeling about Christmas, I want you now to go back in your memory and see if you can remember a time, whether it's a specific time or not, but a time in your life where you made a decision about Christmas. Was it when you were really young? Was it teenage years? Was it when you found out about Father Christmas, as we say in the UK, Santa Claus, and you found that he wasn't real? And then from that moment, you hated Christmas. I don't know. But I want you to understand the power of that, because if we can go back in our mind and start to gain a different perspective over a situation, because we have that what? Yes, behavioral flexibility. And if we start to have that, then it's amazing, because we start to allow the neurology to open up and adapt and change. That's neuroplasticity, right? It wants to. So when you start to understand this, it's beautiful. So do that little exercise for me, and then when you've gone back to that memory, fast forward it all the way up to now, to now, to see how you have dealt with Christmas. And then rewind it, go back to the start. And what would happen if you dealt with it the opposite way? What would happen if you made a different decision, right? A different decision. What would happen if you enjoyed it? Or what would happen if you hated it? What would happen if you allowed yourself to just feel and see a radically different perspective? Remember, no attachment. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's not good, it's not bad. We're just playing with memories and ideas. And then, if you didn't like Christmas before, well, what would happen if you did? Right? What would happen if you saw it a different way? What would happen if you saw it from the Griswolds? What would happen if you saw it through my eyes? What would happen if you decided this year you were going to do things different and really enjoy it? Be amazing, right? Different experience. Exactly. Another concept I want to give over to you, all about Christmas. Well, it's not really about Christmas, is it? But we have certain human needs, and this goes back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but we have certain needs inside of us. Tony Robbins made these real famous, are 6 human needs. And one of them, which is one of the huge and biggest drivers besides significance and stuff, is love and connection. It's so important that we can destroy ourselves and hold ourselves back because we're trying to fulfill this need, or we can be fulfilling it inside ourselves, or we can be fulfilling it with the people that we really want to be around, who are giving us that energy exchange, right? They're just not taken from us. And often if we have big families, that's what often happens. We see them a couple of times a year, And we don't really like them, right? We don't really like them. We kind of love them, but we don't like them. We wouldn't want them in our life, but they're family. But understand, even that has a certain warm feeling to it, right? So it's even like if we go back to the Griswolds. If we go back to the Griswolds and look at their family, right? And everyone hated each other, but they also really loved each other. And it's all because genetically it definitely fulfills a genetic connection, but it also fulfills a human need. And at this time of year, if those people weren't around you, then it can be very lonely. But understanding all that we're trying to fulfill is that human need, is love and connection. And you can get love and connection many different ways. We can trick our brain to get love and connection through watching things, listening to things, hence why I made the podcast, right? Or you can really go deeper inside and understand that the only love and connection that you need to feel warm and cozy is from you. That's it. So if you can go and just meditate, listen to stuff, right? Visualize and really connect with your heart brain, really connect with yourself, really connect with the universe, really connect with that presence, really connect, whatever you want to call it, right? Just connect with yourself. Then what you're going to find is the anxiety, the doubt, the stress, the fear, the loneliness will start to just drip and drop away from you. And then what will be left is this place of peace. And then at that place, we don't need anybody. Then we can choose to be around who we want to be around. So why am I saying this? Again, because you might be listening to this on your own, right? Or you're around people that you don't want to be around. And that's okay. And it's also the thing with family, right? The family is an interesting concept. It has, to be honest, yes, it's genetic, but it's really not. I mean, I'm sure you're listening to this and you might be have step kids, or you might be a step parent. You could also be adopted. You could be, right? And there's no genetic makeup there, but I bet you love them just the same. Right, so you can be around whoever makes you happy to fulfill these needs. You could watch movie after movie and it could light up the same feelings. You could listen to a book. You get the idea, right? So love and connection at Christmas time can come from external or internal. If we can do the internal first and then gain the external, then it means that we're in balance. It means that we're in harmony. We have homeostasis, right? we're level, we're good. And then you're not going to feel lonely anymore. And instead, you're going to feel empowered. And instead, do something else. Go and build next year. Go and design what you want. Go and, you know what I mean? There's so many other things to do. Then it's just one day. That's all this is. The rest of it, well, that's simply marketing and consumerism, right? That's society making sure that you get triggered and you take action and spend your money, right? And you might have heard in the previous episode, I talk about that. I talk about it's interesting to watch the whole of society starts to get anchored or triggered by society who have set things up to start lighting certain parts of your brain up so you start going into a buying frenzy. That's what they do. So if you're out there buying loads of stuff right now, well, that's all right. Especially if you got kids, I get it. But understand, a kid isn't going to remember all of the presents they get. They're going to remember the odd one. What they're going to remember is having fun. That's it. Right? So if you give everything to your kids so young, you've bought them everything, then guess what? Their pleasure response is going to be way lower to get that same high as the first time they got that bike. If you bought them a bike every single year, they're going to go, oh, it's a bike, right? But the first time they got that bike, it was like, wow, I've got a bike. Does that make sense? So just be careful with that. Be careful what you wish for, right? Because you might get it. I know I'm going on some random rants today, but I hope this is all clicking together, making sense, and you're enjoying it, and, you're getting some ahas. That was my whole intention, right? So the other thing I want you to understand is that everything's about balance. And you get taught especially in internet marketing, especially online these days, if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, it's constantly about driving forwards and driving forwards and driving forwards and working harder and making more hours. And you know what I mean? And it's like, well, that's all good. It's all well and good. And it's true. You need to hustle. But there also has to be a balance in your life, because the truth is you could work your ass off doing something that you don't want to do, and you're going through all this stress and pain, and then guess what? You get injured or you die, right? None of that becomes important anymore. So perspective changes. So it's so important to understand you've got to create balance and enjoy your life on the way. I hate the word the grind. I hate it, man. I'm going to do YouTube videos about this. I hate the word the grind. And I hate to use the word hate, but I don't know if there's a stronger word I can use. I don't like it, right? Why? Because every word that you say is connected to an emotion. And what response or what emotion brings up when you say the word grind? Right, and I mentioned this before on the podcast, I'm sure. But think about it, right? Does it create happiness and excitement and joy and love and caring? And now it creates, God, I'm going to do the grind. I'm going to do the grind. Let's do the grind. Come on, come on. But that's an ego-based thing, and the grind is pain and fear. We should be in flow and happy, right? We should be excited about putting this project in. You don't have to do anything. You get to do whatever you want. You get to do that project. You get to earn that money. You get to help that person. You get to travel to that place. You get to get onto that stage. You get to create that product. You get to design your mind. Mindset by design, right? You get to design your life. You get to become an 8-figure thinker, right? Because if you were thinking like an 8-figure thinker already, then guess what? That means complete balance. These are my 8 business balances, okay? So when you start to understand that life is also about balance, things change. Now, you might be going, Andy, you're full of crap. You're wrong. Life isn't about balance. How can I create a multi-million-dollar business like I have and I wasn't grinding or I wasn't pushing forwards? There's no balance when you're building a business. You sure? You sure? So what if there was? What if there was another way? Now, I'm not saying that every area of your life has to be in complete harmony at the same time. I'm not. But if you're purely focused on building business, you're not looking after your health. You're not looking after your relationships. You're not looking after your friendships. You're not looking after... Do you get the idea? So it's a concept I've developed. And again, I'll be bringing it. I've got lots of products in the works right now. And one of them is about bursts. Think about this. We can't do a marathon or a sprint constantly. We can't do it. So it has to, the concept I've developed is bursts. So we do it for certain specific periods of time, and we give everything that we've got with absolute laser focus and discipline. That creates acceleration. Then we have to rest. You don't get a Formula One car who doesn't go into the pit stops, right? You just don't. It can't do it. And so when we start to understand that you are a high performance vehicle, which means you also need maintenance, and maintenance is nutrition. It's also rest and human connection. Because what happens is being an entrepreneur or a solopreneur is that we're on our own so much, and if you don't have that support network around you, it can feel very lonely, and we become OCD on connecting that project, and there's nothing else happens in your life. So there is balance, but it has to be real, like concentrated, focused balance for a period of time. Does that make sense? And then you can rest. So why am I saying that? You can chill out at Christmas. You can have a couple of days off. It's all right if you can. Right? If you can, take it. Because if and I've got to keep doing stuff, well, that's okay. Sometimes you have to keep driving the ship forward so you can set up for 2019 and explode into it, right? Sometimes you've got to have that behavioral flexibility, which I mentioned before, so you're able to not being in a constant state of anxiety. And if you are in a constant state of anxiety right now, thinking that you have to keep working forwards, then you're in the wrong emotion. Anxiety comes from fear. Anxiety comes from the unknown. So that's why we have to connect with ourselves. And you get the idea where I'm going with this, right? Good. So hopefully that helps somebody, right? Hopefully that helps somebody. So I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. And I'm going to play a final clip. Yes, from National Lampoons and the Griswolds. Yes, of course it is. Because the other side of Christmas is it can be really stressful. And it's stressful because what did I talk about my dad before? Money, right? And this clip, what I'm about to show with the Griswolds, I'm sure you know it well. It's when he gets the Jelly of the Month instead of his bonus, right? He's Jelly of the Month Club instead of his bonus. And right there, I think as a kid, I made a decision. And I made a decision that there is not going to be any company or person that is in charge of my income stream. Nobody. I have to be. And I've made mistakes in the past by trusting business partners and people who've let you down and you end up messing your money up. But guess what? That's a lesson. That's a lesson to make sure that you are in control and constantly, building your own income stream. And you do not allow anybody to be in control of that. So the 9 to 5 world, if you're listening to this and you might be going, entrepreneur world's scary. Well, no. Entrepreneur world's safe because business comes out of your imagination. The other side of it is, from an entrepreneur's perspective, the 9 to 5 world is real scary because you have one person or one employer telling you if you're going to, be able to afford your rent or your mortgage or food next week. Think about that. That's scary as hell. If you've got 10 clients, right, as a consultant or a coach, if you've got 10 clients, then you lose 8 of them, well, guess what? You're going to hurt a little bit, but you're going to be okay. See the difference? So what this clip is about is the frustration what Clark feels because he wants to build and do amazing things for his family, but what is he doing? He's relying on somebody else. So listen to this clip.
Hey. Oh. Hey.
Oh. Clark, what's wrong? Honey? It's bigger than you expected? Smaller? What is it?
It's a 1-year membership in the Jelly of the Month Club.
Oh, God.
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
That it is, Edward. That it is indeed.
I'm sorry. Clark, but...
This isn't the biggest bag over the head punch in the face I ever got. God damn it!
Son.
If any of you are looking for any last-minute gift ideas for me, I have one. I like Frank Shirley, my boss, right here tonight. I want him brought from his happy holiday slumber over there on Melody Lane with all the other rich people, and I want him brought right here with a big ribbon on his head. And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
And you can see as a kid why I 100% wanted to work for myself. And it's funny where your beliefs and everything comes from. And I didn't realize until I was like 24 when I started to get involved in neurolinguistics and sales in Sydney in Australia. And it's amazing. And then you look back and you go, that's where it came from. But guess what? If you haven't seen the film, go and watch it. Please watch it. The other thing is, it all turns out good in the end because guess what? Well, yes, you probably know the story. Do I want to give you a spoiler? Well, everything turns out good in the end. Anyway, so there we are, crew. The end of episode 336. Do you know what I mean? I know I went on a bit of rant. I really do. But I hope it got through. And I just wanted to show you that you are powerful. I wanted to show you that anything's possible. I wanted to show you what happens before is not what happens next. I wanted to show you how amazing you can be. And obviously I threw a couple of clips in there, which next year I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to throw loads of clips in there because it's fun. It's fun. But whatever you're doing, whatever's going on today, remember that you're special. Remember that you're amazing, and remember that the world needs you. Okay, so I want you to know that now. So look in your heart, have an amazing day, be grateful for every breath, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I will see you in the new year. Until then, you have an amazing week. And oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.